What if I told you that the strategy that saves you the most money isn't always the one that gets you out of debt? Every month, millions of Americans make their debt payments faithfully. Yet many remain trapped in debt for years, not because they don't pay enough, but because they're attacking the wrong balance. Should you pay off the highest interest rate first, or should you eliminate the smallest balance for a quick win? Financial experts have argued about this for decades. One side says follow the math. The other says follow human psychology. Today you'll discover which approach actually works for your personality, why one method can save thousands of dollars, why another keeps people motivated long enough to succeed, and how a hybrid strategy may give you the best of both worlds. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which debt payoff system is right for you, and it could save you years of financial stress. Consumer debt rarely appears overnight. It begins with one unexpected expense: a medical emergency, a car repair, a home appliance that suddenly stops working, or simply relying on a credit card to bridge the gap between paychecks. Then interest starts compounding. One balance becomes two become four. Before long, you're juggling credit cards, auto loans, personal loans, and student debt, all competing for the same paycheck every month. That's where most people get stuck. Not because they don't want to become debt-free, but because they don't know which debt to attack first. Should you eliminate the smallest balance to build momentum? Or should you target the highest interest rate to save the most money? The answer isn't as simple as most financial gurus make it sound. In this video, we'll break down the debt avalanche, debt snowball, and a powerful hybrid strategy using real-world examples, charts, and practical psychology so you can choose the system you'll actually finish. Because becoming debt-free isn't just about mathematics. It's about building a strategy you can stick with until every balance reaches zero. Consumer debt rarely happens all at once. It starts small. A medical bill here, a car repair there. But as interest compounds, that initial balance picks up speed and mass, growing into a financial burden that is incredibly difficult to stop. The average American is trying to manage 3, 4, or even 5 conflicting financial obligations simultaneously. When you have an auto loan, student debt, and multiple credit cards all demanding a piece of your paycheck, it is entirely normal to feel paralyzed by where to send your next dollar. If you ask financial experts how to solve this, you will immediately run into a turf war. On one side, you have mathematicians who look strictly at spreadsheets to find the cheapest possible route out of debt. On the other side, behavioral psychologists argue that human motivation matters far more than decimals and percentages. Prominent financial figures often demand total loyalty to their specific camp. Dave Ramsey, for example, tells millions of listeners to completely ignore interest and focus entirely on behavioral momentum to stay motivated. If you're holding a stack of bills, this conflicting advice creates decision paralysis. But beneath the noise, the core trade-off you have to make is quite simple. You are choosing between mathematical efficiency and psychological momentum. Success does not require finding a universally flawless formula. It requires looking honestly at your own habits, auditing how you have reacted to long-term goals in the past, and picking a repayment system you will actually stick with until the balance hits zero. Before comparing specific strategies, you have to satisfy 2 non-negotiable rules. First, every single lender must receive their minimum monthly payment to protect your credit score and avoid penalty rates. Second, you have to comb through your budget and find an extra $100 to $300 of monthly cash flow to direct toward the principal. That extra cash powers a mechanic called rolling payments. When you finally pay off a credit card with a $75 monthly minimum, you do not keep that money. Instead, you take that $75, roll it into the $100 payment for your next target debt, stacking that money to create a new monthly payment of $175. This forces you to sacrifice the immediate reward of spending freed-up cash. But in exchange, it triggers a massive compounding effect. With every account you eliminate, your available cash flow accelerates, attacking the remaining balances with increasing force. Committing to this rollover for engine means accepting a temporary contraction in your lifestyle today. That upfront sacrifice is exactly what purchases your permanent financial momentum tomorrow. To see how this works in practice, consider a 32-year-old marketing professional named Sarah living in Denver. Like many, she accumulated debt gradually through a mix of necessity and unexpected life events. Sarah holds a specific portfolio: a $1,500 credit card charging 22%, a $3,000 card at 18%, a $5,000 personal loan at 12%, and an $8,000 car loan sitting at 6%. This chart tracks total debt over time using the debt avalanche method. If Sarah chooses the strategy, she applies a strict rule. She takes all her extra cash and throws it exclusively at the account charging the highest interest rate, completely ignoring how large or small the total balance is. Attacking a 22% interest rate and immediately minimizes the daily interest bleed across her entire portfolio. because fewer dollars are wasted on borrowing costs every month. This approach results in the lowest total cost over the life of her loans. The math is airtight, but it carries a severe psychological trade-off. If your highest interest that also happens to be your largest balance, you could spend a year grinding away at a massive principal without experiencing the relief and reward of closing a single account. The Avalanche maximizes long-term wealth building, but it demands robotic red sheet-driven discipline. For a lot of average borrowers facing a long payoff timeline, that lack of early positive reinforcement creates a high risk of motivational burnout. You can also measure success differently. Instead of optimizing for pennies, you can optimize for visible milestones, relying on frequent emotional victories to keep you engaged in the climb. Look at this bar chart comparing 4 different deaths. Under the death snowball strategy, you ignore the interest rates completely. You organize your obligations strictly from smallest total balance to largest, and you aim all your extra cash at the smallest bar on the graph. Because the target is small, it is rapidly eliminated. You get an immediate, highly visible win early in the journey. A monthly bill disappears from your life entirely. That victory builds momentum. The minimum payment you were sending to that closed account is now redirected to the next smallest balance on the list, causing it to shrink noticeably faster. The financial cost of this momentum is tangible. By ignoring the math, your high-interest loans survive much longer in the background, which guarantees you will pay a higher total dollar amount to your lenders by the end of the process. With the snowball method, you are functionally paying a psychological premium in the form of extra interest. You are buying motivation, leveraging the human need for visible progress to convince yourself that you are someone who successfully finishes financial goals. Many pragmatists look at these two options and want the compromise. They need the early emotional lift of closing an account, but they refuse to hand over thousands of extra dollars in unnecessary interest charges to the banks. This quadrant chart maps your accounts by size on the bottom and interest rate on the side. The hybrid protocol uses this map to blend the two strategies. You start by aggressively clearing out one microdebt, perhaps a small medical bill or a store card, just to secure that immediate dopamine hit. Once that account is closed, you immediately pivot your extra cash to the account with the highest APR, securing the long-term mathematical advantage. This approach captures the upfront confidence of the snowball, while retaining about 90% of the avalanche's cost efficiency. The only trade-off is that it requires a slightly more complex tracking system on your end to manage the shift in targets. The hybrid approach proves that you don't have to pledge loyalty to a single financial guru. Debt Strategy is a flexible toolkit you can customize to mitigate your own specific behavioral risks. This flowchart isolates your primary roadblock. The final step in choosing your system is to audit your own behavioral history and be honest about how you handle friction. If you are an analytical optimizer who tracks your net worth and genuinely hates the idea of wasting money on interest, your discipline will protect you through the long plateaus. You should choose the Avalanche. If you are easily overwhelmed by financial stress, or if you have a history of quitting diets or budgets when you don't see immediate results, you need early momentum. You should choose the Snowball. If you choose the Snowball, do not feel guilty about the extra interest costs. A suboptimal plan that you actually finish is always mathematically superior to a perfect plan that you quit after 3 months. True financial freedom is not achieved by plugging numbers into the perfect equation. It happens when you accept your human flaws, engineer a system around them, and commit to the path that guarantees you will cross the finish line. Getting out of debt isn't about proving you're the smartest person in the room. It's about creating a system that works for you. If you're highly disciplined and motivated by saving every possible dollar, the Debt Avalanche is likely your best choice. If staying motivated is your biggest challenge and small victories keep you moving forward, the Debt Snowball can provide the momentum you need. And if you want both early wins and long-term savings, the hybrid strategy offers a balanced approach that combines psychology with mathematics. Remember this: the best debt strategy isn't the one with the perfect spreadsheet. It's the one you'll consistently follow until your final payment is made. Every debt you eliminate increases your monthly cash flow. Every payment rolled into the next balance builds unstoppable momentum. And eventually, instead of making payments to lenders, you'll be investing that same money into your future. Financial freedom doesn't happen overnight. It happens one payment, one decision, and 1 month at a time. If you found this guide helpful, consider subscribing for more practical personal finance strategies, investing tips, and wealth-building lessons designed to help you make smarter financial decisions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.